Hi there. It's Reverend Monica Driscoll with Unity Spiritual Center near the Villages. I'm the transitional specialist for this beautiful ministry, and this is our November center update. So I wanted to update you on what our progress is for our moving into mission centric. We've been in the coaching program for a year and a half now, and we've done some things that you may not be fully aware of because part of this mission process is changing the culture. And of course, changing the culture means that we individually are changing, and that takes time. That takes time and effort. So there's a lot of things going on behind the scene, even though we're in the middle of a pandemic crisis in our country. We are still operating church. As you all know, we've opened up the parking lot for services. And of course, we're pretty much a virtual church right now. And so we're going to be continuing in that process for some time. But I wanted to let you know that the board and I have spent the summer doing a very big project. And we're on the very tail end of it. And that is rewriting the board's job descriptions. Now, this process is part of our mission culture, part of the shifting that we're taking place. Because what we want to have happen is this notion, it's not even a notion anymore, the transparency of everything we do in our ministry. So when somebody volunteers or is asked to sit on the board, they're going into this acceptance of this invitation with the full knowledge of everything that's expected of them. And when they come on the board, they're saying yes to this role that they're going to play. So we're in the tail end of rewriting every one of the roles on the board. And this process has taken a lot of time to do. The first thing we had to do was ask each board member, what is it you actually do as a board member? Not gray. Very specifically, what do you do? And then we broke those down into roles because we have a president, vice president, secretary, and treasurer. So those roles needed to be very clearly defined. And what we've discovered is in our quest to take ownership of our ministry is that you now can say, when you step up to the board leadership role, you can say, I know what's expected of me. And you can freely give that expectation. And that's the part of ownership. It's not about what's the matter with them, it's what's the matter with me that we're shifting. And that takes time. It takes awareness. It takes a consciousness shift. And so we're smack dab in the middle of this, even though we're in virtual church. So by the end of November, we'll have those job descriptions posted on our website. And we're our nominations committee is gearing up for our board elections in February. So take a look at those job descriptions. We'll send out a notice when they're been posted. But I wanted you to know that the board has worked very, very hard in determining what those job descriptions are, including the senior minister. So you'll get to look at what it is that each one of us actually does, and you'll be able to distinguish that role from here on out. Now, what happens after that is that I now, as the chief operating officer of the church, will take that same concept of job description and do that for each one of the staff positions, the administrator, the bookkeeper, the book store manager, the cleaning person. I will then sit down with the four of them, and it will take me a couple of months to do this. They're going to tell me what it is they actually do, and then we're going to look at how does that lend itself to I've said yes to do this job. And by me saying yes, this is what I do. And it forms another layer of ownership within our ministry. And when that's accomplished, which I hope by the end of January, when that's accomplished, then I go into the ministry heads. What does an usher actually do? What does a welcome desk person actually do? What does a chaplain do? All the ministry roles, so that if you get asked to be an usher, you don't have to say, well, what is it I have to do? Because you have a general idea. You're in church, you see people, you see what the ushers do. But now we can send you to the website and you'll be able to see, oh, this is exactly what I'm being asked to do. I say yes to that. And when we say yes, we know that you'll do that role that you've been asked to do. So it will never be about, well, I didn't know I was supposed to do that. I had no idea that you wanted that from me. That all goes away. And that raises our consciousness that when we say yes to something, we do it. And so that's what's going on behind the scenes in that connection with our quest to be mission centric. Now, speaking of mission centric, so our mission is in two parts. The first part is transforming lives. Now, how do we do that? How do we do that as a ministry? You see, because transforming lives, when we look at that statement, who are we transforming? Whose lives are we transforming? It's ours, us individually. Those of you that come to our ministry, our mission is to transform your life. Now, we can't make you do that. You have to have that experience yourself. Now, what I know is that even though we're pretty much in virtual church, a lot of you have had some wonderful transformational experiences through this process. I've shared mine these last couple of Sundays. I mean, the notion, I always knew that God was inside, knew that without any hesitations. I also knew that God was in everything and everyone. I'm fine with that. But my prayers clashed with that notion. I was speaking to a God that was outside myself, even though I knew intellectually that that wasn't the case. My words and my thinking didn't match what I believed. So I'm in the process of moving that in alignment. That's a transformation. That's it's an aha moment for me. But there's been a lot of little transformations that have taken place within our ministry. And so one of those, the ways that we give you an opportunity to be transformed. Now, what does that mean to be transformed? It means that you've created a closer relationship with God on some level, wherever that's coming from. Whether it's coming from the fact that you're in spirit groups, whether it's coming from the interactions you've had with a grandchild or a child or a neighbor in this whole process of virtual, many of you have had moments of, oh my gosh, I never thought of God that way. Or I've never connected so much with another human being. These are transformational stories that take place within our lives. And so you have got this spiritual center that is focused with our mission on transforming your lives. And we want to give you the tools with which to be transformed. Some of you were transformed by the below the line and above the line behavior. You never looked at it the way that we presented it. That's a transformation. So some of us have had the Q work, and the Q process is really taking a look at not what's going on out there, but what's going on inside of me that I am feeling less than. So we will continue to offer spirit groups and we will continue to do the Q process because those two methods can absolutely transform our lives right now in our spiritual community. And so I would encourage you to jump into a spirit group. We'll be starting a new one in January, and we'll be doing the Q process 2, 3, 4 times a year. And so we encourage you to step into that, into the opportunity to have a closer relationship with God in ways that you didn't and weren't aware of. And this is this opportunity. So we're going through this mission centric. And when we've reached a point where so many of the people coming to our spiritual center have had a transformational experience, we can then consider how we can help others outside our ministry have our lives transformed. We want our lives transformed before we start focusing on those outside of our ministry. So I just wanted to let you know all that and to know that this is a great day. I hope that you've gotten something from this center update. And in December, we will talk more about the transformational story itself because we want to hear from you because you're out there and we want to know how your life has differed in a positive way to have a closer relationship with God. Thank you and God bless.